come on and talk to you guys today about discrimination in employment for Black American women. So, we understand, I've been reading the book actually. Before I start off with this conversation, I was reading a book earlier that I ordered online on Harriet Tubman. And the reason why I read about her was I was trying to figure out what type of laws that these Europeans set up for Africans that were held as slaves in the colonial America to kind of understand the laws that we're under now. So, as far as Harriet Tubman goes, um, I learned that, like, as far as like love practices between African slaves and um, African enslaved, I'm gonna not gonna call them slaves, so they didn't start out as slaves. Enslaved people um, started out with some, according to this author here. Now, she is a white author, and I'll have to get her name. I'll come back with that in another segment. And according to her uh, information, the laws that they had for black people in colonial America was based off of what the slave master gave them as far as marriages and things of that nature, because some enslaved women were allowed to pick their spouse. Well, not really pick their spouse, but if they were in love with this particular African man, they could, get married under the specific colonial laws that the Europeans had set up, which is the Dutch, British, French, people of that descent from Europe. And a lot of it ties into play economically on why some black women are miserable with their economic stance in the country. Some of us are miserable with our economic stance in the country today. Now, as someone that graduated with their associate's degree, some black American families are so delusional. Like, they have to accept the fact that they're poor. You have to accept the fact that you're poor. And you have to accept the fact that you're African descent. Once you come to terms with those things and you begin healing, it opens a whole different world of things that you can do with your mind and which you can use from living in the United States to migrate to a different country. As someone that is reading about Harriet Tubman, I want to create a route for people that are interested in actually not staying in the United States, that want to move and immigrate to an African country, particularly because I'm tired of seeking the approval of white America or white people that are around me in my state. So, someone like me that actually is educated at a community college level, um, I just wanted to come on here and talk about stops. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us were not given the tools on how to, and I understand, like, we're coming from a generation of issues and things like that, depending on your family and everything like that and your environment. I understand that a lot of us were not given those tools on how to heal, on, like, and how to accept yourself as being an African descendant. Some of us believe we're Native American descent. I do not want to be a Native American slash Latino. I don't want to be that. That's not me. Something in me wanted to become, always wanted to learn about where they come from. And it started with the Bible. And as someone that was raised Christian, it has me questioning a lot of Christian beliefs. So I've been learning about a lot of different African folklores, and I want to learn about Africa as, I have to start putting Africans on a pedestal. So what this does, if you grew up in the United States as a black American, you need to start putting Africans on the pedestal and not white Americans. And this takes a lot of work to do when you decolonize yourself. You have to put Africans on the pedestal, not white Americans. And because my mom and dad were not, they didn't go to the higher HBCUs or anything like that, they weren't aware of these things and how I could be indoctrinated and what these things could do to me mentally. So now I have to undo all these things myself, and I have to do the work myself and the hard work. And as someone that actually decided to date out with guys from different backgrounds in the country, not realizing that, I was facing microaggressions and subtle like racist tones, I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, wow. Maybe it's not as free for black women to date out as much as I thought it was. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of men coming from different countries already have this preconceived notion of black American women that they see in the media. So, particularly me, I dated because of like the people that I hung around in high school. They were into like a lot of K-pop and like Asian music. So like I listened to like a lot of that stuff, but I used to think that stuff was whack, to be honest with you. But I hung around them because I was somebody that I grew up with that I thought I could like connect with in that type of way, like as a friend. But apparently, like, we just did not really like, to be honest with you, the stuff that they listened to was not really like my thing, to be honest. So right now I'm just trying to make like a lot of friends, but the friends that I befriend in, it's always like I have like I always place like lighter skin on a pedestal, and I'm trying to decolonize my mind and see the dark brown and brown skinned woman and man as the approval that I should be seeking instead. Because there's another lady, I forget her name. She's on YouTube, but she actually gave YouTube videos on how to heal from colorism. So I don't think she has children, but particularly her, she said that she was brought up as a brown skinned girl and having a light skinned mother. And that's the same dynamic for me. So, what are you going to do with the children that are raised as dark skinned or brown skinned, but their mom was light skinned, or their dad was dark skinned and their mom was light skinned, or their dad was light skinned and our mom was dark skinned? So, what would you do with that dynamic and how to heal from the things? First of all, we're coming from a history of enslavement. We lost our African surnames, we lost our African customs and oral traditions. Then you seek the approval from white people because you see them as more economically feasible. So I noticed that like when I was in high school, I would always be like, oh, my coping mechanism was, I'm gonna go seek out white people because I'm not getting treated right by my own people. So I'm like, I'm gonna go seek out white people because black people are mistreating me, and I don't feel like I fit in with the black people around me. There's like a lot of different colonial mindset within us and everything that I had to work on myself. And it only takes time to heal from that. And I know I'm not perfect, but this is the things that I've been wanting to talk about. And particularly, I really would love to just leave the United States, but economically, it's just not a feasible option because we're already marginalized, like they already have it set up so that we're like, oh, the propaganda and everything is already, oh, the United States is the best country in the world because it's the richest country, which is true, so you can take that information and use what you want with it and do good here economically. But I'm also kind of like looking at options like, do I want to like leave the country? You know what I mean? Like, do I want to see if there's another, aspect somewhere else that I can visit and just like, so yeah, let me read what you guys said. What do you think about God? Like I just said, told you earlier, I was raised Christian. I don't have much thought about God. I just know that He's there in His presence. Let me see. How's your day going so far? It's good. Did you fall for the perpetual victim card that the racists hand out? Yes, I would say that I did. So this is exactly why I'm in the situation that I am. But like I said, I'm only educated at a public school setting. My perspective right now is that I want to get my passport and leave the country, but not first. I need the vacation to see what other countries are like because I don't know their history. I don't know the laws that they are under. So I'm going to learn about more African countries. You know what I mean? I'm trying to learn about more Africans or Jamaicans and Haitians. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand that none of them are perfect, that they're not, they have issues as well. They have governments in their own history. So I ordered a French book because I noted that a lot of Haitians and Africans speak French. You know what I mean? Um, Thank you. So please explain your position on that whites were slaves. I don't know a lot of European history, so I can't talk on white people. I'm sorry, I'm not educated on that matter. I only know what they taught me in school. To be honest with you, I'm considering moving to South Africa because I feel like they have more in common with me growing up in the United States. Um, they actually live with Dutch African settlers, so they're more familiar with living amongst white people. And I feel like they would have more in common with me than the other indigenous Africans from Kenya or Gabon or Cameroon or Ghana or Nigeria. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about vacation in there. I just need to see another perspective. You know what I mean? Like brought up here, um, our media and everything is always, it's like, I have Tyler Perry as an a movie director, you know what I mean? And a lot of his movies kind of like, there's always like that tone with, like there's always like that hidden like war towards like with black people and white people in the country, you know what I mean? Like when you watch black movies, it's always white people in there that you see like that are the antagonists, and I'm just kind of like, all right, I just need to move somewhere where it's just an all black country and see what they see amongst themselves, you know what I mean? So I've been watching like a lot of Nollywood, and like I just want to leave, like that's just kind of where I'm at. But it's like it's hard to do because like people expect you to be rich, and like most black people are not rich. Like this is the reality. Like a lot of people from different countries be like, oh yeah, I see the people from like Hollywood and the musicians, and they expect all black people to be rich in the United States, and we're not rich. I'm just going to tell you like it is. We are not rich. I'm not rich, so I don't understand why people be asking me for money like I am rich, because I don't have that. I don't have the money like that. So I really want to, like I said, I want to move to South Africa. But the thing that's getting in the way is my dating options. Like a lot of the men here that I meet are very colorist, and like it's hard to meet one that's like going to like want to do the work, that wants to be like pro, like learn about their African ancestors. Like pick an indigenous African language and just learn about them. Like, you know what I mean? But like black people hate themselves so much, and they hate each other. That's why I'm like, another topic I want to talk about is alakabakan, like something that's coming up in YouTube. That's fine and everything, but we still face discrimination as a black person in the country. Like we face a lot of discrimination, and because I'm brown skinned, I face a lot of discrimination against my own people plus white people. So, and Asians and Indians because they live here too. So, you know, um yeah, but I want to live somewhere where I can be myself. Like where I could fit in more. I'm tired of being at the bottom against the light skinned woman and the white woman and biracial woman. That's how I feel, like personally. So, but I wanted to talk about alakabukan. There's this word that was going on YouTube about. So, I had a personal experience years ago because I hang out with a lot of um, like I just told you guys earlier, I hung out with black people that were into the Korean pop music, and one of the guys, he was actually a transgender, and um, they were into the K-pop stuff, so they would mock me and say, "Oh, you really into those Indians and stuff." So I decided, I was like, you know what? I don't know what I was thinking back then, but I was like, let me go ahead and date an Indian. So I was dating Indians, and I'm like, I'm not really familiar with their culture, like the food they eat, and like the history of India. I don't know nothing about India. You know what I mean? But I did decide to date an Indian, and he broke my heart. He was my first, but I healed from that and I moved on. But yes, he did say some racist things because, like I said, he's from India, and a lot of Indian men come here and they date Indians. That's what they're going to do. That's common sense. But also, I see some of them when they come here, they might date white women because I've seen that a few times. But that's just kind of what happened to me. You know what I mean? Like, right. So not all people are racist, but some people have prejudice, right? So I'm just saying, like, the media here already has a portrayal of what Black American women are supposed to be, and not all of us fit into that box. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, some of us have different priorities, some of us have different personalities, some of us have different interests depending on our income level, all types of different things. You know what I mean? But I dated out, and I dealt with a lot of like, I also dated like a white guy that was like disabled, and like his family, no offense, like there was some things that I heard around them, and I was just peeped at, and I was like, yeah, I don't feel like it's safe to be around him, particularly even though he has a disability. Like, I don't know what his mindset is already towards black people. You know, there's already stereotypes that some white people have towards black people. So, you know, like, it's a different, like, it's a culture clash. You know what I mean? Even though like black Americans and white Americans eat the same, because like, you know, of the history and everything, we eat the same and we talk the same. I speak English like them, but they don't see me as them. You know what I mean? So I kind of always feel out of place here, you know? Like, it just doesn't feel like home to me sometimes. Like, I know the truth in my heart is that I'm seeking out my African ancestors and I need to visit Africa. And I understand that Africa has 54 countries and they have their own family systems and cultures and things like that. But I just need to go there just for peace of mind. Oh, I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, I'm not meeting a lot of nice guys here. Like, the guys here are very brutal, you know. Um but I'm dealing with a lot of things like I have to heal on my own that a lot of black people don't have time to do. We don't have the time to sit and think about these things a lot. You know what I mean? We don't have the time to sit here and be like, because of like, you know, we're just in survival mode. You know, we're just trying to make it. And people prioritize being rich too much here. You know what I mean? Like, some of them are greedy. Yeah, some of them are really greedy, and I just don't want to get caught up in that mindset. I think what God gave me the gift to just seek out the ancestors. That's what he wanted me to do, because that's a question that I always had about the Bible when I was a kid. Like, I always would ask my cousin who lives in Ohio now, cuz he would always come over when I was younger and he would always talk about um are you born again and things like that, because I was raised Christian, you know. Many black Americans are Christian or Muslim, but like, the thing is that he would always say, "Are you born again?" and things like this. Nice is superficial and only acceptable as strangers. Yeah. But I have a video coming for you guys. I don't know if you guys seen some of my shorts. Sometimes I try to not talk about a lot of the heavy stuff because social media kind of gets you into a lot of the heavy stuff. You know what I mean? Like, whenever you get on YouTube and things like that, it's always political and religious or like economic topics that I kind of see that stress me out. But um you kind of want to like, I want to gravitate towards my creative side. So I have a video coming. Like I said, I talked about Harriet Tubman earlier, where she was an enslaved African woman and she decided to take matters into her own hand. So I'm reading about her, but I'm trying to come up with a video because I like a lot of the anime stuff. So I was trying to think of a creative way to showcase her liberation for freeing African slaves, but putting in a twist on it with the anime Tokyo Japan stuff. So, you know, yeah, a lot of these dudes want to rush you into stuff. And, you know, I have nothing against, like, people's religions and things like that. You know, people have a right to believe what they want to believe. But the one guy that I'm dealing with right now is a Muslim man. And he keeps talking about how in his country, like, girls are not supposed to wear and dress the way I dress. And I keep explaining to him that I was raised Christian, you know, and you need to be respectful of that. Like, I didn't know that you were Muslim, you know what I mean? And he keeps trying to, I need Allah, but maybe I don't want to accept Allah. Maybe I just need to be Christian and you need to respect that and we need to go our different ways. So he might be somebody that I need to cut off because I'm just not really, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not familiar with the Quranic message and all these different things. Yeah, I heard about Thomas so well. He's old. A lot of these old school thoughts are just too much. Like, you know, we need new thoughts. We need new mindsets. Like, I'm tired of old heads, like, always trying to, like, speak for everybody, you know? And one thing I notice about social media is, like, a lot of black people keep talking about unity and all this different stuff, but you need to allow black people to have their own thoughts. Like, you know, it seems like it's just like a thing of the United States. Like, let people have their own thoughts and opinions. Like, just let people have their own thoughts and opinions and leave it at that. Stop trying to brainwash people into your cult all the time. Or trying to get people, sway people to believe your opinion is right. Like, everybody has their own perspective on things in this life. You know what I mean? Like, so it just gets really old dealing with social media and TikTok. That's why I don't get on TikTok, guys. I'm gonna tell you guys, I like YouTube because YouTube, there's not a whole bunch of like mess going on. Like, TikTok is too, like, you know what I mean? Like, TikTok just has too much going on. Too much video after 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 video. It's like, can I have a break? You know what I mean? Like, so okay. Although I don't face racism. Where are you from? You live in. I seem to attract a lot of people from different countries. Where are you from? Sharabi underscore 60 ml. Where are you from? I don't know. Where are you from? Yeah. Okay, so you're from India. Well, it's normal to feel insecure. A lot of people deal with insecurities. You'd be surprised. If anything, someone you trust, you should go to them and talk to them about your insecurities. Yeah, I know. I just told you guys, my first boyfriend was Indian, but he didn't like me because I was black. So I had to cut him off. And for many years, I had a wall up. I did not want to date. I did not want to date. I kept seeking out Indian men online for their attention. But I just noticed that we are just too much of a cultural difference. So I let that be. You know, like, it wasn't even worth it. And um it wasn't even worth it. For real. But what part of India do you live in? Are you to So if your child tells you to stop trying to tell them how and what, so if your child tells you to stop trying to tell them how and what, that's interesting. Well, that's actually, well, every family has their own religious religion, right? Does each family not have their own religion? This is why religion is so important to humans, because you can't go against the way you were raised. You know what I mean? Like Indians believe in Krishna, right? I don't know. You have to explain to me what you guys believe in. Where are you from though? The non-thing killer 5341. What is your is it the truth though? If your parents tell you that, then yes, that's your truth. Right, the truth is what matters. Indians believe in Krishna though, right? Don't you guys believe in what do you guys follow? I forget. Isn't it like Hinduism or something? I learned a little bit about it, but I was like, I don't know what that is. I just know about the you are Indians are Hindu, right? Right. So if you were raised as a Hindu, your parents already have a set of principles and philosophy and religious views that they're going to follow for you guys. No, that's not good. That's not good at all. Right, Indians believe in Krishna. Lord Krishna is their Lord and Savior in India. Can I get an Indian that can say, that can tell me if this is true or not? So, is in your country, Sharabi, they tell you that Lord Krishna is the Savior, right? Is it Krishna? Because that's okay. You guys have a lot of gods, right? All right. So, I am African descent, but we believe in a European religion. So, the only thing I can do as someone that's trying to decolonize themselves is travel to Africa and figure out what their indigenous systems were. You know what I mean? Like, right. What do you mean as in a lie? Once we learn the truth, we free from the bondage of lies. What lie are you talking about? What lie are you talking about? I'm about to get off of live right now. If you say, first of all, if you were raised Christian, the Ten Commandments are thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie. And those are the three that I remember. I can't remember the rest. All I know is that my African ancestors had their own set of rules and principles, and I'm trying to recover those. You know what I mean? Like, because um I hear a lot of black people talk about the blood of Jesus when I go out in public. A lot of them they give favor to Jesus Christ. They give favor to Jesus Christ. But they don't understand. They do understand, but it's forgotten. Exactly. Very true. So I was interested in learning about the Nigerian pantheons. There's a Yoruba perspective, there's Ifa perspective, and there's different ones, you know, like there's the thunder god Shango. I don't know if that's Yoruba or what. Yeah, so I personally believe in um that I would only be free in an African country, and that's just my personal opinion. The not the King Killer 5341. Are you in the United States, sir? Or ma'am? Are you in the United States? Yes or no? The not thing killer 5341 here. From what I see. Okay, so you are a sir and you are in the USA. So you obviously are Christian because you're saying there is only one true God. So you believe in the Christian faith. So according to your perspective, that is true. But according to Sharabi underscore 60 ml, they have many gods in India. So um, I'm not here to force anything on anybody. Like I said, I was raised Christian. It's hard to go against and rebel against Christianity. But also, I'm open to learning about my traditional African ancestors' beliefs. And I have to travel, take the trip to Nigeria or South Africa and learn about the pantheons that existed there. I have to learn about the pantheons that existed there and do what's best for my mental health as a black woman in the United States because, like I said, my people were um, colonized by a certain sect of Europeans, and they were brought here enslaved as Africans, and they lost their language and their surnames. So, yeah, I understand. I've done years of research on gods and gods, but now is the duty for me that wants to find out what I should, if I'm to have children, what I should raise them in so that they could be loyal to the African nations. This is where my perspective is right now. So, this is what my perspective is right now. I think they need to be loyal to the African nations on a broader spectrum. And I recognize that a lot of Africans do not see eye to eye. We don't get along. This has been a long time coming. And the question I do have for black men actually is why didn't you guys create a unified philosophy thousands of years ago? If you knew that you guys were living in the continent amongst each other, you never seen each other's tribe as a threat. You never seen each other as a threat to each other. So that's what I'm confused about. I'm gonna get my ears pierced too. I'm gonna get the other piercing. I forgot about that. Okay, you have a blessed day, alright? I'm about to log off, but I needed to come on and talk about that because that was bugging me. For real. You found the truth just as God spoke it. I know that's right. But I have nothing against Europeans and Middle Eastern people that have their beliefs. But we Africans have our own beliefs, okay? So, um, as I seek to find what these Africans learn, I mean, certain Africans believe in and stick to one, then I'll come on and talk about that if it's something that I'm interested in learning about. Once again, everybody has the right to their own belief. We're not here to talk about truth and all this different stuff. Like, everybody's going to believe what they want to believe, and this is why human beings are what they are. You know what I mean? So, but you were raised as a Christian man, so you have a right to your Christian belief. Okay? So you believe what you believe. I'm Christian, but my African ancestors did not believe in Christianity. They just did not. And they were not Muslims either. So I'm just seeking out what they believed in before all this. So I can only do that by traveling to an indigenous African village. Yeah, the indigenous Africans, whether they were Igbo, these are people from Nigeria, but this is the names that I learned about: Igbo, Yoruba, um, the Zulus from South Africa. These are different clans. They had their own systems and own beliefs. And the question that I have as an African descended woman is why didn't the indigenous African men create a philosophy that could work for all Africans? They never came up with this. And this is why we're in trouble, because today you have them getting online and they're bickering and they're arguing as men, and they get on here and they talk about different things, like You hear black American men going against African men and African men going against other African men. My question to them is, how come you guys never created a unifying philosophy? I work in retail. I work in retail, so that's my question. How come you guys had all them thousands of years to create a unifying philosophy, but it took for Europeans to colonize you guys for you guys to want to create a pan African thought system? So you guys are actually in the Stone Age, like really. And I'm not coming with that with like trying to be like argumentative or defensive or trying to put African men and African descended men down, but the truth is the truth. They are in this. A lot of Africans are in the Stone Age still. Like the ones that make a lot of money, or at least have good connections and things like this, is what I heard. They are the ones that are at the top, while their majority population is poor. They keep most of them poor in their country, and they have of like 5% of the population or 10% that's rich. So it's really unfortunate, because I really thought that Africa was, African countries had it together, but they don't. Um, but the only thing I can do as myself is just maybe take some tools that I learned here and take that back over there and teach them, because they have their own systems, they have their own countries. A lot of them come here and they disrespect black Americans. And it's really messed up that they do that, but they have their own mindset and everything, and they don't know our history. Like, from what I understand, a lot of village Africans don't even get education. Like, their politicians and everything don't even teach them stuff. Like, their schools and everything, they don't even have like good schools over there for them to even learn basic mathematics or about their like indigenous languages or their indigenous systems. You know what I mean? Like, so I have no idea, man. Been going for a while. Okay, what's up, Christina? I'm actually about to go off because I gotta clean, but it was nice talking to you guys. I had to come on here and vent. So I'm out. All right, peace.